1,200 naira respectively. Nigeria's automotive industry is heavily dependent on importing new and used cars due to its underdeveloped state. Volatility of exchange rates of the naira to the dollar, economic headwinds, exchange rates of cargo clearing at the ports, and surging inflation figures pose challenges and limit the growth of the industry. Now, to enable players in the industry prepare ahead to surmount these challenges and harness the opportunities in the sector, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka-Anite, launched the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan to position the sector as a major player in the vehicle manufacturing space. Let's talk more about this. And I have the right person in the house. He is the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Mr. Oluwemimo Osonipi. He joins me live from our Abuja studios. Good afternoon, Mr. Osonipi. It's really good to see you.
Good afternoon, Tolu. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. I want to start with this plan. You know, Nigerians will say we always have plans most times, but implementing these plans is something that is very important. So it's going to be a two-in-one question. Tell us really details about this plan, what it means for the automobile industry, and how you intend to properly articulate every structure or every point of this initiative to get the focus. That's the objective at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, Tolu. Before this plan, there was a initial plan in 2014. So the plan worked, but we have one or two challenges, and based on those challenges, the plan has to be reviewed. And last year, a new plan came up. So the new plan was signed to law by the previous administration sometime in May, and we kick off with the implementation of the plan. Let me first of all explain what the 2023 plans entail. The 2023 plan stands on 7 pillars. The first one there is market expansion and trade facilitation. The second one is investment promotion and fiscal incentive. The third one is to make our product to be cost competitive globally. While the fourth one is to develop our component part, that's local component development. The fifth one is about skill acquisition and then innovation. The fourth one is technology development. That's the fifth, the sixth one. And the seventh one is the standardization and safety of auto products in Nigeria. So all these 7 put together form the pillar of the new NAIDP. And this is just the plan. The other one is, how do we make this plan work? So we look at it, we realize that for the plan to work, it's not going to be federal government job alone. We have to collaborate as well with private sectors. So we identify the critical stakeholders in private sector that are part of the implementation committee. From the government side, we have the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. You know, the minister inaugurated. The minister is the chairman of the implementation committee. And we have other ministries, the representatives of Minister of Finance, Minister of Environment, and then Minister of Transport. Then we have a lot of agencies like Standard Organization, National Investment Promotion, Nigeria Investment Promotion Council, and then the NADDC. And from the private sector, we have NAMA, we have NATA. NAMA is the Association of Automotive Manufacturing in Nigeria, as well as auto technicians. We have MAN, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. We have all of them put together. All of us will work on implementation of this policy. Because the policy on its own, they are very good. But even if they are good, if you don't get the implementation right, we will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve with the policy. Then, after the part of the thing we want to push further, apart from achieving this policy, is can we turn some of the key critical elements of the policy to legislation? Because the stakeholder that we have been talking to, most of the stakeholders that we talked to before now, they made this known to us that for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve, the policy have to move from being a plan to law. So we have to legislate. So we need to make sure that it passed from policy or from plan to legislation. And it's part of what the committee is set to implement.
Interesting the way it sounds. Now, let me follow up and say, do we really have the capacity to start to manufacture our own vehicles in this country and we get to use them? The capacity is now what I'm asking of. Do we need international partners before we can do that? Or as Nigerians, do we have that capacity?
Okay, in terms of capacity, depend on the way you look at it. But let me first of all tell you, most of the well-known OEMs, when you talk of Toyota, Mercedes, all of these people, they have different OEM that manufacture different parts for them. You have the one that manufacture the engine, the one that do different parts of the vehicle. So you will realize that they on their own just bring all these things together. They own the design, and sometimes they own the chassis, and then put all these things together and manufacture vehicle. Having said that, that's why if you look at the 7 pillar, one of the major key things there is local content development. And for us to be able to say we are ready to manufacture our own vehicle, we have to start by producing most of these components right here in Nigeria. The question now I will now reframe is, do we have the capacity to produce our most of these component parts? Yes, we have the capacity. We may not have one big company that is going to produce brake pads in millions, but we have them already. We have identified them. We have discussed with them. They are producing in shallows. So all these are what we are now going to harness and bring them together and see how can we improve. Someone is producing 5,000, 10,000. What can we do so that such firm or entity can start producing 500,000? So this is just the target. This is the focus. So we are focusing majorly as part of my vision. What I'm focusing on majorly is to ensure that the local components grow. We need to develop the local component and let them grow. And then we ask, what are the kind of the local component we have? For example, when you want to build the chassis you can come from either, you can use steel, we have iron, we have plastic material in Nigeria, we have some petroleum products that you will use to produce a lot of things as part of the vehicle, even the grease that you use to oil some of these things. You have to produce them locally, and we can get them here. We have the steel, we have the... I was discussing with someone about 2 days ago, and he mentioned one of the manufacturers of luxury vehicles, and they were proud enough to say they have the best leather, seat leather in the whole automobile industry worldwide. Guess where they import their hide from? They import the hide from Kano. So now, if they can proudly say they have the best, what that means that we have the best leather, the best hide, and then we should be able to produce the best leather, which is we can use for the best leather for automobile or for seats for vehicles here in Nigeria. So why can't we do this? We can, but we need to start from somewhere, and we need to start by developing the local component. Make sure that each one of them are developed. We have taken steps toward that. Currently, we have what we call industrial park that we are building and developing in Newi. We have the second one we are working on in Osogbo. By the time we finish all this, we are going to make sure that most of these manufacturers in these areas will come together within one park and then be able to share some of the facilities we are going to put there, like electricity, water, security, road, all these things will now be shared, and then we'll be able to produce at scale as well as reduce the cost of production. So we are working on all this to boost the production of local component. By the time we do this, everything will now point to the fact that we have the capacity to develop our own vehicle. Yesterday, I was with some other people that were showing me the vehicle that were designed in Nigeria. We've seen a lot of vehicle design already. We are working with those ones that have designed vehicle in Nigeria, and we are looking at what can we do to commercialize some of the design that we have and to make them meet international standard.
Now, beautiful initiative. While I would also like you to elaborate more on your plans for the NADDC, that's your strategic initiative and focus, I would like you to also add that what are you doing to convince government? I don't know if I'm right to use that word, convince. Government patronage for locally made vehicles remains very important. Government is the biggest spender. So if government can patronize locally made vehicles, I believe that manufacturers should be able to break even. What do you make of government's participation in patronage and, of course, your strategic focus for the NADDC? So you can start with anyone you prefer.
Okay, let me start with the strategic focus. So I've mentioned the first one, which is local content, local component development. This is the major thing that will determine whether we are going to achieve our aims and objectives and achieve what the policy states, what we have in the policy. Everything depends on local content development. If we achieve this, then we are going to achieve our objective. And that's why when I came in, I made that one as the main point, my main focus that I'm going to pursue. Then the other one is to work with all the stakeholders in the industry. So because we realize that some of these stakeholders, they are operating in shallow, as I mentioned. So the other one is to bring everybody together. So I've discussion, engagement with a lot of component manufacturers, with assemblers. So we want to engage every stakeholder in this sector, because we know by the time we work together, we engage, we can now find the common grounds and also identify the common challenges. Then we'll be able to tackle those ones we can tackle, and then those other ones that require external bodies to help us, we can now know how to go about them. Then part of the strategy is to promote market, which is what you mentioned now, by how do we bring government, how do we convince government to patronize Nigerian-made vehicles or vehicle assembled in Nigeria. Yes, truly, government is a big spender. Again, private sector also buy a lot of vehicles. So we start with government. As of now, we are working with other agencies and ministries so that we can see to the effective implementation of Order 003. Order 003 that says that a certain percentage of government procurements have to go to locally produced products. So if, for example, 40% of the vehicle have to be from locally assembled vehicle, especially in auto sector. So we are working on this. So by the time we develop our local content enough, so we'll be able to provide the necessary, because when you talk to government, there are some reasons that they are giving. For example, availability of spare parts and other things. So all these are what we are going to tackle with development of local components. And by the time we tackle all this, you will see there's going to be high increase in government patronage. But as of today, most of the local assembler, if you ask most of them, their number one customer still remain government. You can pick the top 10 of the local assembler and ask who are their number one buyer. Still remain government. But we will still push government to do more. And again, appeal to private sector to at least recognize that most of these vehicles that we even buy from abroad and bring them, the second-hand, the pre-owned vehicle that we bring in, some of them don't have the capability, and they don't even have, by the time they were used for like 10 years over there, 8 years, 6 years, they don't have that capability of the strength of what the Nigerian-made vehicle has. So we have to start promoting our own product and let the public, not only the government, realize that Nigerian vehicle as good as those ones that we buy from other countries, especially the one we bring from China. Let's realize this, that most of these vehicles we have here, they get their engine from the same source, for example. So when you look at most of the vehicles you have in China, have in Europe, have in other parts of the world, the engine they use and the engine you see in Nigerian-made vehicle, most of them, they are the same. So the only little difference, and difference in design. So when we realize that, we can now know that we are not making mistake, or you are not being exposed to any kind of risk at all if you buy Nigerian-made vehicle. We are going to embark on a lot of promotion of Nigerian-made vehicle so that the whole public will realize that Nigerian-made vehicles are as good and as reliable as those ones that we buy from foreign country.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Now, before I let you go, what other things do you think maybe about regulations for manufacturers that would incentivize them, make them interested in staying despite the challenges of course, coupling and putting together a vehicle in this country? What are you thinking, or what is government thinking to make it easier for business people? Let's wrap up on that note.
A lot of things governments are doing now to promote local assembling of vehicles, to develop the sector and to promote the industry. So there are many. Number one, we have a lot of fiscal incentive lying down, apart from tax holiday, apart from reduction in duty, and in some areas, zero duty. So all these ones are already put in place to encourage not only the new investor, even the existing assemblers. We are doing that. And again, just as I mentioned, we are investing in building industrial park, auto industrial park, where all the manufacturers can come together and then enjoy common services, common facility, in order to bring down the cost of production and then be able to share knowledge. So all this one we are also doing. Apart from this, we are working with other development banks in order to make auto fund available at a very reasonable rate. So we are doing that. And if you listen to the interview of the Minister for Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, he mentioned that pretty soon the government is going to launch credit scheme. And that credit scheme, a good percentage will go to auto credit scheme. So by doing this, we are not only boosting the supply by providing funds to the assembler, we are as well boosting the demand side by making sure that credit scheme is available or fund is available to those who want to buy locally manufactured or locally assembled vehicle. So that credit scheme for auto is going to be only for those people that are patronizing Nigeria-made or Nigeria-assembled vehicles.
Brilliant and interesting conversation, I must say. Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Mr. Oluwemimo Osonipi. Have a great weekend, and we hope to have you in some other time to assess and evaluate some of these moves by government.